Looking for healthier, fuller hair? Do you want extra money for bills, trips, extracurricular activities for your kids, or do you want to replace your entire income? Monat is the answer. Our products are Leaping Bunny certified, vegan, and Monat can be used by anyone, including your kids and pets. Message me on my Instagram to partner with me. Founder shares are available, and as a market partner, you have access to uncapped bonuses, 45% commission, 35 to 55% off discounts, on top of all-inclusive paid trips. Right now, I also have a free gift for anyone that partners with me, so don't miss out. You can message me on my Instagram at Liz.
We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. As all of you know, every now and then we do a little get-together, me and you, and we have a Q&A. We have a chat about the channel. I do a members-only one as well, usually once a month, so I am aware that I've got to get one of those done at some point. But what I wanted to share with you tonight before I get into your questions, and I can see there's a few coming in, is just how the channel's performing and just a little bit of background information, because you all buy into the channel, you all watch it, or you subscribe, or you're a member, or you're both. Some of you are moderators, and I'm always thankful for your involvement. Big shout out to Julie and the gang. Great to have you on board as always. And I just wanted to share a bit of the info. So first of all, this is how our channel did in June. 108 new subscribers. We had 190,000 total views. And we had 2.6 million minutes watched. So that is an overall overview of the channel, basically last month in June. So then we've got, here's how people found you. So this is 1st of July to the 7th of July. And this is how people stumble across NUFC Matters. First up, YouTube Home, which is the search bar in YouTube, YouTube search. And then you've got Up Next, which is like a recommendation. So if you watch a particular Newcastle podcast, you may see our podcast then come up down the side. We recommend you watch this. So that is all down to the algorithm on YouTube. The weekly recap for 1st of July to 7th of July, 19,000 people, individual people tuned in to NUFC Matters. That's always mind-blowing. I always say we never take it for granted on here, but 19.1 thousand individual people tuned in. People didn't just watch, they interacted, of course. 1,979 likes in a week, 175 shares in a week, and 176 comments. Now, the comments is what is left underneath the videos after we put them on. We don't really encourage them, but people do them, and we like them, and we do read them. The shares is where you share your other social media. We're not getting as many of them as we're probably would like, because that means that you're spreading the word of NUFC Matters for us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, whatever you're linked up to. Likes 1,979. Well, bearing in mind we do 7 shows a week. You know, you're looking at just under 200 likes per show. So, you know, if we get 5,000 watching on a Friday night for the Amigos, then, you know, it would be great to get 5,000 likes on the show. But obviously we don't. We only get maybe 200, 300 at a max. So hitting that little thumb up under the video does do us a big favor, because that helps spread the word of the channel. It builds the channel. It gets the channel. It gets the channel out there. And from my perspective, you know, that's all we want. You know, we want to spread the word. We want to be able to share things. Again, the same week, this is what people watched as your top 3 shows that week. The Amigos, Ben Jacobs' transfer show, and the Professionals. No surprise there to me that those 3 shows are coming out on top. There's always a few thousand between them, a few hundred between them, sorry. But yeah, the Amigos is having a good run at the moment. It's back on top, but the Professionals does push it. And when Ben Jacobs is on, he always pulls in the numbers as well. This one is always a bone of contention. I get it. Some people don't like to subscribe to channels because maybe they just don't like the notification that the show is starting. I'm not sure why. But watch time from subscribers in the last 28 days, 54.7% of you have subscribed. Not subscribed, 45.3%. So if you are one of those people who watches our show and doesn't subscribe to the channel, please consider it. It doesn't cost you a penny. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button. You can even select what notifications you want to receive. You might not want to receive any, but you can still subscribe to the channel without actually annoying yourself. So please consider it. Subscribe. It does do us a big favor. Again, as I say, with the algorithm. Gender, last 28 days, 95.5% male. Females on the increase. 4.5% of our viewers are now female. And the geography is always quite interesting. United Kingdom, of course, 77.5%. Germans, we've got a German contingent watching, which is always interesting. That's quite new. United States, pleased to say that we've got 2.4%. And I dare say I know most of those people who are watching in America are joined, you know, to groups and friends that I've made over the course of the last few years. Age demographic, obviously our channel is aimed towards over 18s, so you know there is not going to be many of them, you know, being able to get in and watch any of our content. Maybe there's 1 or 2 videos up there that are available, but everything else is 18 and over. 18 to 24, 4.9%. 25 to 34, 15%. 35 to 44, 23%. 45 to 54, 22%. 55 to 64, 21%, and 65 and over, 13%. So a nice change to see that we've got a bit of a broader spectrum now, and that probably comes with a subscriber increase and more people watching, and watching in different areas. So thank you for joining us. This was interesting. I've never really shared this with you, but this is the channels that we, you know, if you watch NUFC Matters, then people watch these channels as well. Everything is black and white. Keith Downey, Tyneside Life, Tyne, Abiel, the Toon, NUFC News, Esilla Football, not sure what that is. And no surprise to see the Toon Review, the Magpie channel, Adam Pearson, Newcastle Fans TV, Rubenstein, Evermore, Lee Ryder, Geordie Journos, and Loaded Mag, all in there as things that you like to watch. Subscribers that we've gained, mainly from live streams, but 82 from videos, which is interesting. And we have been doing some shorts, sticking shorts up when we can, and they really are something that YouTube is promoting. They're really pushing the shorts out there. So that is the reason that you're seeing an increase in subscribers coming from shorts alone, which is interesting to see. Views from live streams and videos pretty neck and neck, and from shorts as well. People, if they watch the channel, tend to watch everything that we have to offer. And as you can see, videos, shorts and lives, all pretty neck and neck. Last couple of bits before we get on with the questions that you're putting in. Yeah, new viewers come from a live stream, but mainly coming from videos and shorts. Again, showing me the importance of maybe doing more shorts over the course of this season, and I will look to do that. So that's it, really. Returning viewers tend to come from live streams, videos and shorts as well. Again, slight increase on videos, but that is it. So there you go, folks. Hope that's giving you a little bit of an insight into how YouTube works. And a lot of people go on, what about the ads? The ads. We get a lot of ads on here, Steve. That's how the channel gets paid. Essentially, that is how the channel gets paid. And you get an option of picking the lower band, the middle band, or the higher band for adverts, where you could get a lot more adverts. We pick the lower band, so you don't get inundated. So some people don't get any, depending on what they're watching on. Some people get 2 or 3. So it really just depends on how you end up watching NUFC Matters. Somebody asked about Spotify. Don't often get the figures from there. I don't think we have massive viewing, listening figures on there, but I will check. I will check with our media guy and see whether he can find that out for us. But in the meantime, we will push on with the show. And Jules, hiya, she says there, this channel's always been for like-minded fans, talking all things NUFC and enjoy respectful banter. It's never been about egos or shock jock tactics, bringing so many of us together as friends. And Tuna, thank you. He says, this channel's brilliant. The only thing I find difficult is searching for the next show. Notifications are on. Not sure if you can send a notification a day or hours before. Might be my fault. If you just select the little bell and just hit all notifications, that should do it. That really should do it. But again, it depends what you're watching on. We don't send the notifications out. But when we set up the show, you should get a notification that there is going to be a show coming at some point in time. But maybe have a look at your notifications bell. Do your subscriber numbers actually impact the channel as opposed to the number of views? Yes, having more subscribers builds the algorithm, shows that people enjoy the channel, and will give you, will get us up. Will get us up, further recognition, I should say. But we're doing okay. I think we're about 50 away from hitting the attendance of St James's Park now, which would be a milestone for us, I certainly think. One of your shorts got 2.9 million views. Yeah, the shorts are really, really good. And Gary says shorts are great and snack size chunks can sometimes spend 15 minutes watching random shorts. It's amazing what's out there, yeah, which is why they've done them, I think. Yeah, don't mind the adverts. I just go and have a cuppa. Yeah, don't tell our sponsors that. Gav McElroy says on Spotify the channel finds itself in the American football category. That could be limiting the numbers. I will check that out. You mentioned this before, Gav, and I have mentioned this to the guy who does our media stuff. I will mention that again. It's Sefton Mag. Yeah, okay, Scooby-Doo. Good to see you. Good to see you in the chat. Okay, you did ask some questions earlier on, so I will try my best to get through as many as I can tonight. Keep them coming. Doesn't matter what they are. Doesn't have to be Newcastle related. If you want to ask something else, feel free. I do hold the right to say nothing if I feel I don't want to answer the question. Of course, you all know that, but I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, I always do. If Eddie goes to England, is manager for 4 tournaments, plays good football, gets to 2 finals, 1 semi and 1 quarter, but doesn't win like Southgate, are his job prospects any better than now? Good question. I get where you're coming from, Benny, because we've had these discussions on here about Southgate over the course of the last week, and his resignation came as no surprise. I think even if he'd won, he would have resigned. I don't think Eddie Howe would go in and play the same style of football as Southgate. I think it would be a lot different. I think anyone going in would play a different style of football to Southgate. Possibly Lee Carsley might be in a similar mould. But are his job prospects any better than now? No, I don't think we will see Eddie Howe go to England. I think he may get offered the opportunity to go. I think the club would certainly have to allow him to have that conversation. But I think he would stay at Newcastle. I think he still thinks that the project at Newcastle is a much bigger and better project for him to get his teeth into. Sometimes the England job just comes at the wrong time. And I think that's the case with Eddie Howe now. There is, of course, some people who feel, maybe with the change at the top, with Amanda Mirdad going, that perhaps, there could be uncertainty behind the scenes. But what I would say is that the photographs that we saw yesterday, which were rather cleverly put out by Newcastle on the day that Southgate resigned, of Paul Mitchell and Darren Eales and Eddie Howe and Jamie Rubin and Peter Silverstone, all at the Adidas training ground, I genuinely thought that was a great bit of PR for Newcastle, and I felt that showed that we're all in it together. There was a real team ethos being displayed in those photographs. Eddie was smiling tuna. Exactly. So for me, I think that was deliberate. I think it was done for the cameras. I'm not saying that they said, right, okay, we're going to take it now, smile. But I do think that that showed that everything at Newcastle United behind the scenes now is happy. And I'm not saying it wasn't happy with Amanda, but I'm saying that, you know, there is 100% an opportunity there, which they've took with both hands. And it's just so happened it's come out on the day that Gareth Southgate has resigned. And that is that. I don't think there's a question to answer. I think Howe will still be a Newcastle manager. And that'll be it. I genuinely think we are in a good position. So there you go, Benny. I hope that answers your question. Do I think he'd be a better manager? Do I think he'd have any better opportunities if he did what Southgate did? No, I don't think so at all. Barry, good evening. He says, what's your view on the Eales interview? Did he write those questions himself? Can this guy come across any less passionate? He avoided the Amanda leaving and blamed money cop up on Ando going. Barry, I think you meant Amanda going there, but I watched it, right? And my first mindset on Darren Eales coming out yesterday was, well done. You've come out and you've said something. We were calling for that on Friday. We were calling for it on Sunday's show. And he's come out and he spoke for 9 minutes. He's clearly given interviews to the other press, the journalists, because then there was suddenly talk about you know, the Howe situation, and there was also talk about other situations with players which weren't involved in that press release. So he's clearly given interviews with the press. That's all we can expect. That's all we can expect. And for me personally, I was just pleased he'd spoken. I know where you're coming from about the passion. He's not Amanda. Amanda's very good at doing these passionate outpourings, and we're back to having somebody who maybe isn't as good as that. I will judge Darren Eales on his performance when the proverbial hits the fan again. He's got to make sure that he comes out and he reacts and he talks to the supporters when everything in the garden isn't rosy, and it will happen. It will happen at St James's Park. We know it will. Our club's got a history of that. And make sure you come out and you speak quickly and effectively, and, you know, tell us the truth. Simple as that. It's not rocket science. But that's when I will judge Darren Eales. But at the moment, Barry, I'm happy that he came out and he spoke and he said something. Simple as that. David says he played a blinder, telling the word Eddie signed a multi-year contract that wasn't in the public domain yesterday. It was in the public domain, David. And I said this yesterday. I didn't put it on Twitter, or X as it is now, because I would have ended up getting involved in an argument with Keith Downey. Keith Downey put it out there that it wasn't in the public domain. It was. I did the press conference review about it. I heard Eddie Howe, Eddie Howe was asked the question, and it was confirmed that he'd signed a new multi-year contract. So it was in one of the press conferences. So whether the media didn't pick up on that or not, I don't know. But it was certainly in one of the press conferences that I covered. I haven't got time to go back through them all, but it was definitely covered. You'll be able to do it yourself. Go and listen to the press conferences on NUFC.co.uk's YouTube channel. But that wasn't a secret. It was in the public domain. He communicated with the fans, yes, 100%, and that was good. And Alan McKenzie says, Eddie's facing the media on Friday at Adidas HQ. Do you think all will be laid to rest then? Yeah, I would like to think so. Do I think it will be? I don't know. When do you think the next Eales interview will be? Whether there's good news or bad news, as long as he comes out and speaks, that's what I think. That's what I'd like him. That's what I'd like him to do. Will he speak again next season? We never hear from him anything Newcastle related. Yeah, I genuinely think we'll hear more from. We will hear more from him at the moment until we hear otherwise. He's ultimately going to have to be the face of Newcastle United, and that really is, the case. Okay. I've got to get back. There's lots of questions coming in, and I need to really make sure that I don't miss any. So here we go. Eales' interview, says David, was with the press, was planned before Southgate news broke. Okay, well, that's fine, but it still doesn't alter the fact that the news about Eddie Howe wasn't new. we knew that he'd ultimately signed that new contract. So I certainly knew. I'm sure we discussed it on here as well after the press conference had been discussed. So yeah, it will be interesting. The out of date $5 million clause from Eddie's first improved contract in summer 22 was widely reported yesterday, and nobody seemed to know about his improved terms with no release clause in summer 2023. Yeah, so maybe it's the terms and conditions that maybe people didn't know about. But certainly we talked about an improved contract. I think it was definitely discussed at a press conference anyway. Okay, back to the questions. I've started about 21 of them, so I need to get through these. Tuna said, if the FA come knocking at Howe and Newcastle's door, do Newcastle give Howe a deadline to make a decision, given that we are potentially going to spend 150 to 200 million as per Stu Howe wants? Yeah. I mean, if there's any doubt in Newcastle's mind that Howe is considering it, then I genuinely think they will be given a deadline. How would be given a deadline? Yeah. Do I think that's going to happen? No. I genuinely don't think he's got an interest in taking the England job at this moment in time. But if it was a case of going to speak and having an opportunity to go and speak, yes, I think you would be given a deadline 100%, because you can't afford to be messed around at the start of the season. And I do believe England said they're going to give it a couple of weeks. Well, that means that the ongoing, mystery surrounding the mystery surrounding our new England manager is going to go on and on and on, and it's going to surround Eddie Howe unless they come out and say something. Gav says, now that Southgate's jacked in, do you think the Chronicle and the Gazette will stop reporting that Bruno might leave, as they had some new clickbait now regarding Howe? I still think we're going to get that over the course of the next few weeks. I genuinely do. I really think that we've got a situation developing here where we've got new kids on the block behind the scenes, and I think we'll see other players possibly linked with an exit. But there's going to be ins and there's going to be outs. And we've just got to get used to the fact that all of these people at the club are potentially up for grabs until the transfer window closes. So it's as simple as that. Eddie will use the England job as a leverage with a board. He'd be foolish not to. Wants to keep Wilson, wants to see how we spend the transfer budget. Okay. I don't know yet, Steve. I'll make that decision, but I am looking forward to seeing you, mate. 100%, you and the lads. Gary, good evening. Question for Steve. With a new England manager on the horizon, which foreign coach would you like to see take charge of an English manager was ruled out? Of course, I'd like to see Pep Guardiola be England manager. I would happily take Jurgen Klopp, but that would be it. I don't think Pochettino is an England manager. I don't think he's an international manager. Could I see Pochettino at Newcastle if Howe left? Of course I could. He's a good club manager. Did very well at Spurs. He's worked with Paul Mitchell, and of course, he came into Chelsea, car crash of a club last year, and did very, very well. So ultimately, yeah. I could see a foreign manager in as an England manager, but that would be it. Lee Ryder was on TalkSport saying it was the right time for Howe to take the England job. Was he? What would he say that for? I mean, I don't know what the context was, but ultimately, if Eddie Howe was offered the England job, he's got a decision to make, because it's the only time I would imagine he'll get it. If he leaves Newcastle, it'll either be because he hasn't done very well, his stock's slipped because Newcastle aren't doing well. That's the reason he leaves Newcastle. And then he's got to find another club and do the same as he's done at Newcastle. So Lee Ryder, in a way, I guess, is right. He may never get the opportunity again. So if he wants the England job, yes, I would agree with Lee. Now is the time to take it, if that is the context that he meant it in, Tuna. Where do you expect the team to finish this season? Top 4, Barry, 100%. And that's without knowing who's going to be on the playing staff, who's going to be playing, who's going to leave, who's going to come in. 100% Newcastle will finish, for me, in a Champions League position. That's what I think. I do think we need to sign at least 2 marquee players, one up front, one at the back, and I'll take 2 established young players in the other positions. I'm happy with the players we've signed at the moment, but we need 2 key players to come in. That's what I really think. But we'll finish 4th, mate. We'll have a good run in the cups. Will we beat our final hoodoo? I'd love to think so. I'll go out on a limb and say Newcastle will finish top 4. They'll get to a cup final and they'll win it. There we go, Barry. There's my prediction. First person to make a prediction about next season on NUFC Matters. Alan says he thinks it's going to be put to bed at the Adidas HQ to stop the media frenzy following Newcastle on the pre-season tours. What does everybody else think? Apparently, Klopp has said he's not interested. No surprise. He wanted a year off, didn't he? More or less. Simple as that, really. And I don't understand why he would change his mind for the England job. I've already talked about that, Roger. Sorry, mate. I did save that earlier on. When do you think our next signing will be? I anticipated a signing this week, Tom. I've got to be honest. I thought we'd get a signing in now to stop all of the England chatter. I thought we might have seen Theo come in because there seemed to be a lot of talk about him coming in. Obviously, being Sandro Tonali's pal, we do need a centre half, especially with the injuries that we've got at the moment. And I would like to have thought we would have had somebody in this week. So the week is we're midweek. We're Wednesday. There's still time. So let's say by Sunday we may have a new player in. That would be great. That would be fantastic. Barry says so many other channels talk clickbait and go out of the way to antagonize people. Never thought that with this. I'm not a huge fan of Loaded Mags. I seem to have no interest in the comments in the chat. Loaded Mags started here. I'm not one for making comment about other channels. They do what they do, and they run their show differently to ours. And I wish the lads all the best when they left, and I'll continue to do so. David, thank you. He says, what makes matters the best is true balanced opinions. Other just regurgitate other news, which isn't always accurate. Here's a question for you guys. We are doing the worst 11. And I think the way we do it. We did the best 11, so now we're doing the worst 11. Somebody in the chat comments earlier on today said that we shouldn't be doing it. They thought better of us. That's without actually seeing a program that we've put out there, but it's only for fun. We're not allowed to have any players who are currently playing at Newcastle United, so nobody's feelings will be hurt. Put it that way. But it's so far the two I've recorded are fairly obvious and players that we've probably talked about in a similar way on other programs. But it is just for fun. Is it something you would disagree with en masse? Let us know. The worst 11. We are going to do it. We are going to see it through. It's just going to be the people who do the shows that I'm going to interview on here. But as you know, I sometimes need a show to do when I'm away, and I am planning a holiday, so I won't be able to do lives for a few days. So I do need to give you some entertainment, and so far so good. I think it's a really good show, and people give their reasons for why they think this particular player was poor at Newcastle. I don't see anything wrong with it, but it's not going to change my mind. But just wanted to know what you people thought about it. What else have we got? Yeah, there's lots of people putting players' names in now. I think Potter will do good as England manager. Tom, I agree. I think Potter's knocked back so many jobs, mate. He's knocked so many jobs back, and I genuinely think he was told Southgate was leaving at the end of this tournament, and that is the reason that Gareth Southgate has now stepped down. And I genuinely think that that is the case. I think Potter will get the job. The sooner the better as well, to stop all the speculation. Benny, I think Jules answered your question. It is a one-off payment, mate. If you listen to the ads, which I'll be putting on in about a minute, it's a one-off payment. It's something which is done independently of the channel. Johnny Allen, who runs the merchandise, the t-shirts, etc. It's a separate company to us, but he essentially does all of the merch and he does the membership. So it's a one-off payment, mate, and you get a hat. I think you get your scarf, you get your cup, you get your membership card, and you get a pen, and it's a lifetime membership. Ideally for us, what really helps us is if you join the channel. It's £1.99 a month. If you want to continue to contribute, if you've bought your one-off membership, but you really want to continue helping us, then just hit the join button and you can become a member, and it's £1.99 a month. That's all it is. Or you click the $sign in the chat on YouTube if you're watching on a computer, and you can make a donation like that, which a lot of people do. You'll see these highlighted monetary figures come up, and that is how people can make a donation to the channel. But we don't beg on you. If you can do it, you do it. If you want to chip into the Malverno Fund, which is tomorrow, we're meeting up we're all meeting up. Me, Stu, Mitch, etc. Meeting up tomorrow. Stevie Bennett's coming along as well. Looking forward to seeing the guys. But yeah, that's how you do it. It's as simple as that. But yeah, that £25 is a one-off payment. Okay, we are halfway through the show. We'll have an ad break, and I'll be back to do another half an hour after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today. Okay, welcome back. George Bainbridge said, which away player has given the best display at St James's Park? For me, it's Steve Bull for Wolves. Yeah, I was there, mate. Steve Bull for Wolves. New Year's Day. Oh, God, 4 goals for Wolves, I think it was, he scored. Miserable that. Really was. Who else have I seen destroy Newcastle? Many a time, Liverpool players scoring goals against Newcastle, left, right, and centre. But as an individual performance, I don't think I could get past Steve Bull, mate. I really don't. And the fact that I was actually there to see it, 100%. Steve Bull, mate. Yeah, you gave us the answer. How is a full-time manager? The England job's part-time. This isn't hard. Currently, wouldn't touch it. Was it Kevin Keegan who did the job and did Newcastle? Or was it Man City? Or was it? I can't remember. He definitely managed club and country. I'm sure he did. It can be done, but I don't think England would look for that. And what happened with the NUFC Matters Ghost Hunt? It's just finding time, mate, to do it. It really is. And it's got to be done in like an October time. And things get in the way, Barry. Things that make money get in the way. When you've got to pay the bills and put food on the table. And if you're not in the area, it's a bit difficult. So for me, I think it'll happen. We've just got to make sure that I can do it at the same time as other people. But yeah, I'd still like to do it, mate. Chillingham Castle is what we'll do. Dave says, I got ads bang on at the same time as the Matters ad. That was strange. Something's happened. Chris Wood hat-trick was up there too. Yeah, God, that was a great performance. The next England manager will only do well if the players have respect for him and his previous achievements. And Potter is Gary's favourite too, for potentially being the England manager. Steve Gerrard is another one. Yeah, Steve, I remember that. Hat-trick has to be up there. Standing ovation when he came off from all sides of the ground. Yeah, that was a Liverpool one I was thinking of. Scholes always used to do well. He was always a thorn in our side. And the best performance by a Newcastle player to me has to be Tim Krul away at Spurs. Nothing was getting past him that night. And Pardew was manager then. Yeah, it was Man City, David. Cheers, mate. I knew he definitely managed England and the club at the same time. Barry says, evening all, good that I can't make the do. Car trouble living in Kent. No worries, Barry, we'll catch up with you next time. Hope you're okay. No news on the away kit going on sale. I am going to go to the club shop at some point over the next day or two. So I will let you know, Sparky, on the podcast if I've got an answer for you on that. I will ask the question. And Eddie facing the media on Friday. Do you think it'll all be laid to rest? Yeah, I had that earlier on. Sorry, guys. Daniel says, will there always be a level of toxicity about anything and everything? I thought Eales' interview was good. We seem to love self-sabotage. I agree. I really do agree, mate. I think that, unfortunately, just it's the way some of our fan base are. And because some fans comment on things, then we all get dragged into it, and we've all got an opinion. And so I think it is toxicity in some way, shape or form, but I thought it was good. Yeah, I've already made me comments about that. I did think it was a decent interview by Darren. He's very good. He's a bit like a politician. He doesn't give too much away, and what he's certainly good at is emphasizing the fact that we're limited on finances, and within the boundaries of the financial, restrictions, that was the one thing I picked up for the 9 minutes that he was on. So, listen, he spoke. That is the most important thing. He came out and spoke. I just wish it would be a bit quicker. I really do. Any updates on future member draws? I appreciate real life's impact behind the scenes. Just wondered if when it's been picked up. Jules, I'll speak to you offline. There's been a tragic circumstance behind the scenes, and at the moment it's something we can't do. We will be doing them again, because it's a lifetime membership. Then no guarantee for a membership draw every month at the moment, just because of a personal circumstance. Not my personal circumstance, but reading between the lines, I think you'll understand. Will we get a marquee signing or just team number building? I do think we'll get a marquee signing, Mark. Yeah, I really, really do. I think we'll get a marquee signing 100%. I'd like to think we'll get two, mate. I think we'll get two. But it will be, it'll be sensible. It'll be accountability. We're into the new 3-year period. Newcastle will be looking at it and going, do we want to spend a big chunk of that now, or are we going to be economical, frugal with our cash? It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'm just more concerned about big names going out. I still think we'll get tested. We've got three blue chip players there. I do think we'll get tested. At some point, it would be crazy if Newcastle weren't tested on an Alexander Isak, an Anthony Gordon, or a Bruno. If they got offered a daft amount of money, would they take it? I just hope they stand strong, and I hope they don't. But it's until the transfer window is closed, I genuinely always worry and am concerned. Even though we're not really a selling club, I'm always worried and concerned about these kind of things. Steve, will we do any more watch-along shows with the games this season? Loved them. Barry, it really depends if I'm at the game. When I'm at the game, it's pointless. And I think I've made this point on a previous live Q&A. We were doing them alongside the Tyne review, I think. And we were pulling in good numbers for them, Barry. It was worth doing them from our perspective. But when lockdown was over and I stopped doing them and I started going back to watch games live, home and away, what we ended up with was, losing the people who watched it with us. And we ended up with, I think probably 50 to 60 people watching it with us, whereas everybody who was watching it, we were hitting 700 to 1,000. They've all gotten to watch with Tyne review now. Good luck to them. They've got it now. They do it well. They do it every game. They can do it on, they can do it every game, and that's that. But I genuinely can't see us going back to doing it, mate, really, because it's a lot of, it is a lot of hard work for me in particular, running the commentary and keeping you all, interviewing you all and doing it all for best part of 2.5 hours, really. So yeah, I don't think we'll be doing it anymore, but never say never, mate. That's what I would say. Roger, thanks, mate. Yeah, I do think it's a realistic view. No one knows until, well, it'll be the 1st of September when the transfer window closes. Again, David, that's your opinion, mate. I don't get sucked into those kind of comments about other channels, but you know, again, I wish the lads and lasses the best of luck with their shows. Daniel says Eales comment about deals in the pipeline come out of the window so we can still plead poverty. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be the narrative at Newcastle, doesn't it? That we're constantly going to, you know, we're constantly going to talk down how much we've got to spend, and if that helps us in the long run, then you know, I'm all for it. If it helps our case, if Newcastle are looked at as the poor relation and not want to bump the price up, then I think that suits us all, doesn't it? Certainly suits the football club, 100%. Certainly, good evening. Do you think the owners will be looking at potential managers in case worst case scenario happens, and Howe takes the England job? And if so, who would you take? Good question. I mean, I skated around it a little bit earlier on, didn't I? You know, look, Pochettino is available. Would I like to see Pochettino at Newcastle if Eddie Howe left in the next couple of weeks? Yes. I think Pochettino would be an improvement. I think, you know, he's got Premier League experience. He's got his team to the Champions League final. He's worked with Paul Mitchell, so there wouldn't be any introductions needed, and they wouldn't need to build a working relationship. So Pochettino, I think, would be a natural step in the right direction. Of the other managers who are available, as long as we don't go back in for Steve Bruce, I'll be delighted. With whoever the club decide is the right person to take us forward. But I look at you know, who's available. You've got Klopp, who's looking for time out of the game. I'd love to have Klopp at Newcastle. I think the time for Jose Mourinho is gone, and he's already happily ensconced in a job. Would I take Potter if Potter didn't take the England job and Eddie Howe went to the England job? I don't think Potter's an improvement, but I think Poch would be. I genuinely think Poch would be an improvement. But yeah, I can't see past him. There's several million payable if Poch joins another Premier League club within 6 months of leaving Chelsea. Okay, I didn't know that. It's a big if. Eddie decides he wants the England job, I'd go all out for Poch. It won't happen, as Eddie will be here long term. Yeah, Gary, I agree. No, Richard, I am not doing any pre-match talk-ins next season. But if you've got a thirst for a pre-match talk-in, I certainly know that Gibbo and Ando are going to be doing. I think it's Fleet Street. It's called. They are going off. I want my life back. I want to go and see my friends, and I want to go and see my family. I've done pre-match talk-ins for the last 20 years, and I just want some time off pre-match. So I am retiring myself from that scene. But Gibbo and Ando will be doing Fleet Street, and I do believe, depending on how the meeting went yesterday, I was speaking to the guy who runs the Stack. I do know that they're looking to put on ex-players at the Stack as well. So there could be some ex-players on at the Stack pre-match. But I do believe that they're going to be on very early. So for a 3 o'clock kickoff, I think they're talking about doing them midday-ish. They want people in early, and then obviously to stay there until kickoff. So there are going to be other options. Once upon a time, Richard, I was the only act in town doing them. Now it seems that people are cottoning on, and much like the fan zones for England, the very first fan zones when the England matches took place, it was me providing the players. But since I closed the company and moved on, and you know, I'm not really doing events these days. You know, I'm doing other stuff. It's other people now who are doing these things, and I wish them all the best. You can't do one thing forever. So get me life back, Richard. That's the answer. I remember Clivert being applauded off when he played against us, but my first match was a Boxing Day game against Leeds when Hasselbank destroyed us. Oh, some happy memories here, isn't there? That question certainly got people talking. Great to see St. Maximin go to Fenerbahce. He's going to play for Mourinho, of course. Yeah, good move for him. Another good move for him. Benny says, question for Steve. Can it be argued that it's better for Eddie to have the chance to build a direct relationship with Yasser Al-Rumayyan rather than have the buffer of Amanda and Mirdad in between? Interesting question, that, isn't it? I genuinely think that Al Ramayan is, as me and the lads on the Amigos and the professionals have probably discussed in our WhatsApp group, it feels as if he's a bit like an absent landlord. He's not there a great deal. So does he really get the day-to-day updates from the club? Are they hands-on, despite the fact that they own 85% shares now with Amanda departing? Do they only get updates when they come up here and have a big meeting at Alnwick? I don't know is the honest answer. I would imagine his relationship now is with Paul Mitchell and Darren Eales, and that is the direct relationship that he's going to have, not with Al Ramayan. I might be completely wrong. I don't know the full ins and outs, but that is what I would. That's what I would suggest. David disagrees with me on Poch as an upgrade. Interesting to see why, because you know what, I just think that because he's been to the Champions League final, because he's got Spurs into Champions League position, I think he's gone that little bit further than Howe. Maybe not the full. He's maybe not a massive upgrade, but I certainly think he's an upgrade. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I do think he is an upgrade, and I think the job he did at Chelsea last season probably gives you that kind of. I think it just gives him a slight edge. He went in and he turned things around, But it's all about opinions. It is all about opinions, 100%. Les, I'm going to stick the link in the chat now. Hold on. Al Stable. There you are. Right, I've stuck the link in. There you go. That's the link to Trafficking. If you want to watch that film that I did a couple of years ago, that was my first lead role. Have I got any more films in the pipeline? No, I'm busy writing a play, David. I'm writing a poem a day. I'm still writing a poem a day, which is going well. I'm going to put that towards a book, which I'm going to do for charity next year. And films, no, nothing at the moment. I've had a couple of castings, but no luck. And as I say, I'm busy writing a play at the moment as well. So putting a bit of time and effort into that. Steve, you're given 50 to 100 million to buy an Italian superstar to join Tonali. Who would you buy that would fit the club and the way we play? Chiesa would be my selection. Gary, simple answer to that. Yasser said on the Amazon show, he has people who run his business operations day to day. He can't get involved to that level as he's too busy. He's too busy playing golf, possibly. Joking aside, Jules, yeah, I did see that. So you are right. Don't know if it went ahead. Do not know if that went ahead at all. Diego Simone's Black and White Army. It's another good choice, to be honest. As a potential manager, yeah, following on from Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe learned a lot from him, didn't he? Question for Steve. I'm a Newcastle NUFC member. Do you know the chances of getting hold of a face value ticket for a home game if I'm not successful in the members ballot? Your guess is as good as mine. And don't call it a ballot, call it a lottery, which is what George calls it on here. I don't know, mate, because I'm a season ticket holder. I don't know how people fared. If Alan McKenzie or Maureen's in the chat, they could probably tell you. Moza could tell you. They are members and they could tell you how it worked out last season. Last season's Dortmund manager at me, says Ian, yeah, interested. After Poch's experience at Chelsea with their fans, he would love us. Yeah, he would love the adulation. There's no doubt about that. Thomas Tuchel's Black and White Army, says George. Another name of somebody I'm not so keen on him. I wasn't keen on him at Chelsea. I know it was Chelsea though, so I'd be willing to give him a chance. Mancini would be a great shout. Not sure what he's doing these days. Is he already attached at a club? Probably is. Oh, there we go. David Cook says, Benny, resale on the club site is the only official route. I had no success, but Moza did. Only one manager anywhere, Eddie, and that's the guy in Man City. Yeah, Pep Guardiola. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of people's choice as well. Get a quick drink of water. Get the next question. Question for Steve. Can it be argued that yeah, that was one I had earlier. I didn't take that off. Sorry, Benny. Have I got any more questions? Or have I gone through them all? I think I've actually caught up, folks. All right, David. Was a comment rather than a question. Unless Eddie in Newcastle give a firm and flat no, I think he will go. Interesting. That's just with regards to Eddie and the England job. Just going through the list here. David, there's a new question. Did anyone feel Bellingham was getting above himself? His behaviour during and after the final wasn't good. Yeah, I genuinely felt that out of all of the players, he was overrated. He had a great season, no doubt about that. But I genuinely felt that they bigged him up before the tournament to the point of the Paul McCartney song being played on that advert and all about Jude. Did he live up to his billing? I don't think he did. The overhead kick goal, of course, it was superb. Very important goal. But I suppose on the flip side of that, you could say it was the way that Gareth Southgate played the team, the way that he set up. I genuinely felt that we set up in a very negative way time and time again. So it nullified those players. It really nullified those players. So maybe that is why Bellingham didn't live up to the expectations. I was annoyed with him in the group game where, was it the first group game where he almost shoulder charged that kid, and I was thinking, oh no, we're not going to have another David Beckham here, but where he lets himself down with his with his attitude. And I guess some people read into the fact that he was the one going around putting his arms around people and cuddling them after the defeat in the final. They were trying to say that it was like he was trying to take the glory, get the PR going, but I think he was just genuinely going around and trying to tell the players chin up, worse things happen at sea. But yeah, listen, I do think he was one of the players who it didn't seem as either 100%. That's what I would say. There we go. I see Alan and that Maureen are giving their answers on that. Maureen attended 13 games, me 15, only 3 out of the ballot. The rest was resales. There you go. What was Craig Fairbrass like? I love Rise of the Foot Soldier films. I did Rise of the Foot Soldier 3 with Craig. He was great. Really nice guy. Great actor. And a little insight into that. The scene with the pool cue where I get smashed over the back of the head with a pool cue. We only had two balsa wood pool cues, and because I had me back to Craig, I had to get it right. I had to get it right both times to make sure that the director had a decent cut of it. But I got it right the first time, I'm pleased to say. But we rehearsed it. Him coming in, me going down, him coming in, me going down, him coming in, me going down, and then we went for a take. The first take, we got it in one. And yeah, it was just great to work with him. We did a full day's rehearsal, and then we did the fight scenes and the stuff that we did over 2 days. So yeah, it was great opportunity to work on a great franchise with great people. But Craig Fairbrass was a gent, top bloke. Really nice. Terry says some fans have got it in, but Darren Eales, get up the bloke's back, for goodness sake. He can't win no matter what he does or doesn't do. Really do think some fans are entitled. Yeah, Terry, I get where you're coming from. I guess just the way that he dealt with the ticketing thing, I think was listen, we'll be a critical friend on you. If we think something's right, we'll give Darren praise. And if we think something's wrong, we'll tell him he's got it wrong. And I think that's the whole point of having fans. And they've got the fans advisory board, and it's up to them to do that job, really. They're supposed to feed in what we think, but we've got a platform. As long as we're not derogatory and as long as we're not, we're not people who just slate somebody for the sake of slating them. If we give constructive criticism, as I've said previously, I'm pretty sure the club watch podcasts. They will have somebody who sits and watches the podcasts. And, from my perspective, I think that's great because they can carry back the message that the fans, which is you and us, of course, that, we're not happy or we're happy about a certain thing. So, they're doing a hell of a lot more than anybody's done in years. And that includes Sir John and, Freddie, and, they're using the online tools that they've got. They're sending out various requests for information from supporters, and that's great. So I agree with you, Terry. Get off his back, but at the same time, if he does something wrong, challenge him and challenge anybody at the club who maybe doesn't answer a question or gets things wrong. And that's, it's democracy. It's what we're brought up with in this country. So, but don't just slate the bloke for no reason. That's what I would say. And if you are going to have constructive criticism, make sure it's constructive criticism. Do it in the right way. Don't take to social media and just have a pop at them for no reason at all, especially with them being on Twitter. Annoyed me the amount of times Gordon being leader was mentioned in the commentary. Was so clear they've improved things. I agree. Do you think the club will change the system of away ticket distribution, Steve, or leave it as it is? Big question that, Richard, because they put out a request for fans' opinions on it. So we will wait and see. It depends what everyone said. They'll go with the majority, I think, Richard, but I do think there'll be slight changes. Certainly do think there will be slight changes. Confidence and arrogance can look like one and the same. Bellingham seems to think everybody's below him and he's 100 miles ahead of everybody else. What's the latest on the Stack opening day? I'd imagine it's the Cellar weekend, Alan, but I haven't heard, mate. I haven't heard any updates on that. Yes, I got the email for the fans event next week, and talking tonight's just reminded us that I haven't filled it in, so I'm going to do that when I finish in 5 minutes. Stephen reckons Jude will flourish under the next manager. I hope so. When is the new away shirt being released? No idea, Derek. I am going to find out, though, before Friday. So I will hopefully let you know on the Amigos. I went on numerous times. Oh, that's a personal message. Sutty, Steve, would you ever do a one-off show with a number of other NUFC podcasters? I've done one with Adam Pearson. I've been on the Toon Review, and I've done the American Magpie. I've done Loaded. But yeah, I mean, I've done them before. If somebody asks us, I always give an answer. So yeah, if somebody asks, I'll always consider it. A lot of it comes down to time and timing of being asked, I guess, really. Little bit of advice as pre-season and new season approaches. Be excited, get involved in chats, but don't let every rumour thing you see on social media and YouTube get to you. Keep calm and keep perspective. Yeah, good idea. How about matters get together at Stack when it's up and running? Yeah, Alan, I'm up for that, mate. As a free man on a match day, I could certainly get down there now. Not having to do any talkings. So yes, I certainly think that would be a great idea. Melly is still around. He was on X last night, winding up Keith Patterson, as he likes to do. But yeah, Melly is still around. Still speak to Melly, and I'm sure we'll get him back on the podcast at some point. It's just he started doing his own podcast, David. It was so difficult to get him. For him and me to sit down at the same time on the same day, because he goes home and away with Manchester United as well, and with Champions League, with European games or FA Cup games or League Cup games, and he would be going down, he'd be having a night over, he'd be staying over, or then he'd be away for a couple of days, and he works bloody hard as well. So it just became impossible to do a weekly show with him. But it was great to. It was great, it was great to have him on, and I'm sure we'll have him on again. And he did keep popping up on the Northeast Footy Brekkie show as well, which I'm hoping to be doing again in the none too distant future. Nothing on Aramco at all. It'll be interesting to see whether Stu's, I don't know, it wasn't a prediction. He just said potentially that could happen. Be interesting to see whether that comes off. When is Jumper Guy back on? I've got a question for him. Next week. He couldn't do this week because he's in the US of A. Eddie should say immediately he doesn't want the job. Never mind waiting for the FA. Newcastle's more important, says Steve. You're right, mate. We'll more or less finish where we started, and hope you all have a great time on Saturday. Lots of photos, please. That is great stuff. Thoroughly enjoyed tonight. I am back in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be me, Super Mac and Gibbo. I am reuniting the guys, 10 o'clock in the morning. And that really will be a special show because they've had 4 or 5 weeks apart. So they are looking forward to it. So join us in the morning, 10 o'clock. Set a reminder. It's loaded up there now. Thanks for joining us. Over and out.